good afternoon, good evening, good day, and good morning, Blurtsters, wherever you are around the world. You are listening to the Blurt.
We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather, the Turrbal people of Yagara land, as well as the Woiwurrung people of the Wurundjeri land. We recognise their continued connection to the land and waters of this beautiful place, and acknowledge that they never ceded sovereignty. We respect all Turrbal and Woiwurrung elders and ancestors, and any First Nations people here today.
Good evening. You are with the Kegsta. I am the host of the New Blurt, and if you've never listened to the New Blurt before, well, it's something new for you to do, and I highly recommend that you do. You can contact us on the New Blurt, that New Blurt, all one word, .substack.com, as it says right there, and email at blurtstar@gmail.com. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and we're on YouTube. Don't worry about Facebook so much, but we are on Twitter and YouTube quite a lot, and do a bit in Insta, tiny bit in TikTok. But anyway, what is the New Blurt all about? Well, we have different segments each week, and this week we have some crackers. We've got Blurt on Society, which is a news segment, and we have Science and Nature Calls. But before I do any more than that, just like to say that I'm coming to you from Wurundjeri country, the Kulin nation of the Woiwurrung people. Sovereignty was never ceded, always has been, and always will be Aboriginal land. As I said, tonight we're going to be talking about the Blurt on Society, which is a new segment. And basically, it's sort of all about whatever's happening in society. It could be international, it could be local, it could be your local council. It could be your best friend has just done something in society. I don't know. Maybe they were on stage somewhere and you want to promote who they were and promote the community group that they work for, etc., etc. So Blurt on Society is a little bit loose, but I think it's worth talking about because there's lots of things to talk about. And tonight in Blurt on Society, we are going to talk about I'm going to be talking about Melbourne's most popular streets and meet the McMansion boulevards of lockdown dreams. Why not? That's what I say. Why not? I'm not necessarily saying that everyone will be riveted to that, but, it's always interesting. It's interesting to have a look. What is a McMansion? You'll find out very soon. And then our next segment is Science, which I know for a fact is one of my dear co-hosts' most favorite segments, apart from education, obviously. And tonight he is talking about, surprise, something to do with the universe. Who would have thought? Because if you've ever listened to this show before or watched it live, you would know that Wencee's a bit of a science nerd. And so tonight he's talking asteroid and NASA. I myself tonight am talking about synthetic milk. Made without cows, maybe coming to a supermarket near shelves near you very, very soon. And in fact, this synthetic milk is being made in, I know it's Victoria, but I think it's Werribee. And Fonterra in New Zealand, which is one of the biggest corporate dairy companies in the world, is backing that venture. So that'll be interesting to have a look at as well. And then we are going to round the rest of the show up with Nature Calls. And if you don't know what Nature Calls is, no, it's not about that nature calling. It's all about animals, the weird and wonderful world of animals. And we could be looking at anything. We could be looking at the animals from years ago, i.e. it could be we could be talking about paleontologists, i.e. discovering dinosaur bones from millions of years ago, billions of years ago, etc., etc. Or we could just be talking about the newest mouse that's just been found and it's just been named Kylie Minogue or something. It's all about the one, as I say, the weird and wonderful world of animals, as it were. And tonight, Wencee's going to be talking about primate vocal cords. Now, I have absolutely no idea what he's going to be talking about, primate vocal cords, so you'll just have to tune in, as I wanted to. But I'm going to be talking about, is it a good idea to have a kangaroo as a pet? For me, the answer is no. And when we get to the segment, you'll understand why. But before all of that happens, I must do this. I do it every week, and I enjoy doing it, and it just needs to be done, basically. So, good evening, Wencee! Needed a bit more of that last Saturday, I think it was.
I know. How disappointing.
Yeah, seriously.
It was a great match, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. But it just, I don't know. For the next 2 days, I'm just sleeping. I wasn't sleeping. I was dreaming and trying to work out all the ways we could have won that game. I was like, there's so many ways, so many times.
Just an extra minute would have sufficed.
Oh, yeah, could have, without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, even the commentators said that. But,
For those wondering, what are we talking about?
Oh, yes. What are we talking about?
You and I know what we're talking about.
Yes, true.
Some of the people who are listening might know exactly what we're talking about.
That is true.
It was, of course, the Pies and the AFL. Yes. What was it? Preliminary final?
Yeah, prelim final, which basically means there's 4 teams left in the Australian Football League game, as it were, the AFL. The 4 teams are left in the AFL to get into the grand final, and the Cats, which is Geelong, had already absolutely wiped the floor with the Brisbane Lions, which is always not an unhappy sight for me. I know it's a unhappy sight for you. I get that.
It is. I would have enjoyed Brisbane being in the finals this year.
Yes, but see, I never forget. Yes, that's true, Vicky, that we did much better than the poor old Lions. That's very, very true. But I never forget the Brisbane Lions smashing us in 2001. And I think they beat us 2 years in a row, 2001, 2002. I'm sorry, I can't forget that. I cannot forget that. So
yeah, I'm not a big fan of Geelong, sadly. They beat us, Collingwood, I think it was prelim again.
And they beat us. They smashed us in 2020. Yes.
And in 2007 when my son was born.
Yes, and then they beat us in 2011.
Yes.
For the grand final.
Yes, exactly. So I'm not a big fan of the Cats.
No, I'm not either. But you know what's heartbreaking though? 7 points is between us and being in the grand final. 7 points. It's just ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, just one more kick would have got us in. Just
I know.
A goal.
I know.
Or better umpiring. Better umpiring would have helped a lot too.
Look, I'm not going to go there, but there is some terrible, horrible stuff. But yeah, if it was at the G, we would have won. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
But they had all the advantages. But that's what happens when you finish higher on the ladder. So you crack on.
Yeah, exactly.
But talking about cracking on, are we going to be cracking on any time with the Republic? Do you think? I mean, apparently we're not even allowed to talk about it just after the Queen's. Actually, and just backtracking slightly, did you watch any of the funeral? Did you read any of the Queen's funeral, media, etc.? I've got to be honest. Every time it popped up on my phone, I just went swipe.
Yeah,
swipe.
I was like that. It was pretty much wall to wall Queen news for the last 10 days or so. So I got a bit too much, but I did stay up to watch the funeral last night. So I wasn't paying particularly attention to it, but I was just watching it while I was doing other stuff.
Was there any pomp and ceremony that you should be sharing with?
Plenty. I'm sure everyone's seen it on the news feeds today. But yeah, you've got the what was it? The Navy that pulled the carriage that had the coffin on it. There was the spider that was walking across the handwritten letter that King Charles had on the coffin. So that garnered a lot of attention worldwide.
Hold on. Did they train this spider, or what was the situation?
I don't know. It could have been a spy spider for all we know.
How big was the spider?
We're talking maybe an inch or less, very small.
Okay.
But they
And
did
they
focus
filmed
on
the
it for a
spider.
bit.
They
Yeah,
filmed the
yeah,
spider.
because it was in the in I think it was Westminster Abbey, the first ceremony. So they filmed it and they zoomed in on it and everything else. So
Oh my giddy aunt,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
that spider
That
even
is-
has a number of Instagram accounts as well as Twitter accounts. So I'm sure if you look for it, you'll find it.
I reckon that spider's probably got its own marketing department now.
Yeah, it does now. Could be worth
Um,
millions by the end of this week.
no, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is
Did you
just-
watch any of it?
No, none of it whatsoever.
Fair enough.
Not a jot. Not a jot. No. But I did read little bits of stuff. I read something on Twitter today just to ensure that I was suitably outraged, and and it was by this old white bastard.
Pale stale male.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were banging on about bringing back the British Empire, etc. But not just bring back the British Empire, but they were saying how the British Empire would be. It was a Murdoch-backed piece of crap. So,
I was going to say, it must be someone
yeah.
from Sky.
Oh yeah, it's just absolutely, just yeah. Anyway, they were saying that so India would be lucky to have the rule of the British Empire again. I'm like,
Yeah.
these people obviously, do they not read history ever, or do they
Have
just
they
just say shit? I mean,
do they know
seriously.
anything about the partition and what happened when the British were in power? Do they not know some of the
don't know.
atrocities that they did?
I'm not
in
sure.
the name of the king or queen at the time.
It was pretty cruel and inhumane stuff. Very similar to the stuff that they did to the to the First Nations people here in Australia as well. But actually, one thing I will say, I saw a little tweet the other day, which is quite interesting. I think it was 100. It was either 183 or 193 countries, I think, around the world. I think it was around the world. I think that's right. And Britain had invaded 171 of them.
Wow. during their history, I guess.
Yeah,
wow,
yes, it is a lot. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what the time frame is on that. But it's just I mean, seriously.
Well, they were a superpower for a long time.
Yeah, they were, but I mean, just because you're stronger than someone else, does that mean that you should put your foot on their throat and just push them down? Is that what you should do? Or should you not give them a hand and try to help them up, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, well, we won't even talk about the Spanish and what they did in South America, but...
They were really horrible. Yeah, really, really despicable stuff. Yeah.
Which is so... not like those countries now. So if you look at the Spanish and the Brits, they're just not like that from a government point of view. They don't think like that anymore, which is good. At least we've progressed.
Yes, but you don't have to go back that far and get to Margaret Thatcher and the Falklands Islands crisis.
Yeah, true.
So I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be clapping wholeheartedly for the UK not invading more countries at the moment. It's just there'll be countries that we don't know about as such. Yeah. But actually, talking about that, it's quite interesting because, as you probably know, Xi Jinping met Putin just recently.
He did,
and he wasn't particularly happy about what he was finding.
No. What do you remember what Putin said?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the war wasn't going so well, Xi Jinping was just saying, look, you might want to be, double thinking about what you're doing here. Because, I mean, see, the thing is with the Ukraine-Russian war is that, one, in Russia, he's telling all his people that it's a special military operation.
Yeah.
So the people in the army aren't allowed to call it a war, whereas the Ukrainians are getting bombs dropped on them, so they know it's a war.
We all know it's a war.
Well, absolutely. But the difference is that the Ukrainians are scripting and conscripting and having a draft and all the rest of it, and they're more than happy to join because they're fighting to save their country and themselves. Yeah,
exactly.
But Russia is full of mercenaries because they won't put a draft in, because if they put a draft in, it means that all the mums and dads in Russia will be going, I thought this was a special military operation. What the hell? Why are we going to war with the country? See, they don't even know what's going on. So he doesn't have that option. And mercenaries tend to only fight until it looks like they're going to die, and then they jump out.
Yeah, and retreat.
Yeah.
Or regroup, as the Russians say.
Yes. Regroup.
Yes. Well, let's hope that ends real soon, because with the West helping, let's hope the Ukrainians can get back to a normal life.
Absolutely. And if anyone is wondering what the symbol is behind me tonight, all will be revealed, but not quite yet. You have to hang on to the end of the show.
Exactly.
Yes. So we'll just take a quick break. Be back in a minute with Blurt on Society.
Blurt on Society.
Yes, so that was quick. Blurt on Society. I thought we might have a chat about, as I said before, the housing prices are going, they were going through the roof, but they're actually coming down now, believe it or not. And they're expecting them to come down by 10% this year.
Oh, good for buyers.
Well, yeah. If you're in the mood for buying, it's apparently it's going to be the time to do so. But obviously, you need to have coin, and as we know, interest rates are going up. So good luck on that loan that you were going to get for like 3%. It's probably going to be more like 5 or 6%. So that's going to be fun. But what I thought I might do, just for a bit of fun, we'll have a little bit of show and tell here. So I'm just going to throw that up. Can you see that? It reminds you of Mar-a-Lago, doesn't it?
Yeah, or Grace. What's it called?
Oh, Graceland. Well, Graceland has a little bit more class than that.
Yeah, it does.
That's pretty ostentatious.
Wow.
But I've got to admit, though, it looks like they've got, like, I don't know, just a whole marijuana plantation out the back or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me because it's in Mickleham. And
that's north, isn't it?
It's west. It's where there was
of course. My old point.
Lots of COVID in COVID time. 10 Summit Drive, Mickleham was listed for sale with features including ballroom plus its own soccer field, which helped its street become the state's most popular. So Victorian's pandemic dream home was a McMansion on the edge of Melbourne. I'd just like to say, I am a Victorian and I have lived in Melbourne for a long time. It has never been my dream ever to have a McMansion on the edge of Melbourne.
No.
So stick that
Mickleham
up your ass, the Sun. This is from the Sun. Well, one of our listeners, Dave, he's a fantastic, very loyal listener, hates Murdoch, hates the Sun, hates anything to do with Murdoch. And this is from realestate.com.au. So you're going to have to sue me. I'm sorry. I don't blame you at all. I signed the Murdoch Royal Commission petition. We totally don't like the guy either. But sometimes you just can't get weird and wonderful info when you try to find it somewhere else.
Sometimes it's just no other option.
Yes, I know. Anyway, analysis of the most popular Victorian streets for house hunters over the past 3 years has revealed our top addresses as Millionaires Row in Mickleham. I've got to be honest, I would have never known that if someone told me. That hosts one of the nation's biggest homes, a winding road in Gruyere east of the city, and an eclectic 1 kilometre stretch of Diamond Creek.
Wow.
Got to be honest, none of those homes I would have ever thought would I'll show you another picture in a minute.
I was going to ask, yes, can we see the Diamond Creek? Diamond Creek?
Well,
Okay,
no,
yeah.
no. What I'll do is I'll show you one of the lavish, ostentatious, in very, very bad taste rooms in a minute. So what we've got here is, Northcote named best Melbourne suburb to live in. Yes, that would make sense. I would understand that. It's a pretty funky place.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because where we used to have our church, Wencee, that was just down from Castlemaine, and Castlemaine is known as Northcote.
Is it? I had no idea.
Yeah, that's
very far north of Northcote.
Yes, it is. It is, but it's because it's a pretty funky place, and so they sort of that's their slang name for it. But economist Eleanor Craig, there's an Irish surname, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, said the top street was home to one of Australia's biggest houses, a 9-bedroom stunner that hit the market at 10 Summit Drive briefly early in 2021, but it never sold.
Surprise.
Yeah, said intense interest in the home would have helped drive up the average for the street. Oh, you've got to look at this. I've got some really beautiful photos coming through. You're just going to be, look at that. Look at that. Isn't
Massive
that just
ballroom.
Horrible? That's just, my dad always said to me that money doesn't buy class, and there is no class there whatsoever.
Absolutely not.
2.75 hectare property, a staircase inspired by Gone with the Wind. Yeah, it might have been inspired, but it didn't have anywhere near the history of the house that Gone with the Wind or any of the character. So it's just, anyway. So it had a tennis court. It was chasing 14 million to 15.4 million asking price for the suburb. Well, for the sale, but the vendors understood to have decided to keep it. So apparently, it didn't sell.
Because they were only going to get 10 million?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got to admit, though, this house here is actually in a decent place. I can't afford it, obviously. But, I mean, that's quite a nice house, that one there. That's got a little bit of class about it. That's
a bit more modest.
Yeah, it's slightly more modest, isn't it? But it's still somewhere I'd be okay to live there. I wouldn't want to live in the other one, but I'd be okay to live there. But so Victoria's most popular pandemic streets was Summit Drive, average views per listing, and the median estimated home value. I find this amazing. Summit Drive, Mickleham, the median estimated home value is $2,387,000 in Mickleham.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
That's just weird.
Romsey Road, Romsey, again, this is a bit nuts too, because Romsey's in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, it's just outside. It's just outside Melbourne, sort of thing. It's where, if anyone knows who Scott Pape is, that's where he lives.
Yes, is that where he lives?
Yeah, he lives in Romsey. And and the median price there is $1,428,000. So
I'm sure he's got more than that in his bank.
Without a shadow of a doubt, he does. Without a shadow of a doubt. But I just thought it was worth just having a look, because I would have never thought that Mickleham would have been 2.38 million as a median and would be the number one Victoria's most popular pandemic streets. So I
never thought that either.
So I just thought it was quite interesting. So there you go.
Because you'd always think places like Toorak, South Yarra, Kew would be the most expensive places. Brighton.
Brighton. Well, Kew is number 5 on that list. And Kew was that last property I showed you.
Yeah.
That was Kew.
But not Mickleham, no.
Nah.
No. Well, I'm going to go to a different extreme.
Good.
Of society and life. And I'm going to talk about best before or use by dates. And
nice.
And how that affects us and our society.
Excellent.
So I've always wondered what the difference is between the two. And foods with the best before date means that they can be legally sold and consumed after that date. Those products should be safe, and I think they must be emphasizing the word should. So they should be safe, but may have lost some of their quality in terms of nutrients and color and whatever else.
Yeah.
Products that have a use by date are considered not safe. Why do I mention this?
Hold on. Products with a use by date are not safe. Is that what you're saying?
After that date, yes.
Oh,
So
after that date.
Yeah, after that date. So you want to use it before that date?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is India. I think India just found out that there was a use by date, and she ate something.
I've done that a few times.
I mean, I didn't grow up like that. I mean, 40 odd years ago, we didn't have use by dates. You would smell stuff.
Yeah,
you just go, oh, that's not good. I'm not drinking that.
Exactly.
But nowadays, it's like, because I mean, seriously, I looked at a bottle the other week, and it was a bit ridiculous. Because I looked at it of milk, and it was, I think it was the 15th of September or something.
Mm.
And it was only a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
That I was still drinking it. And I looked at the 15th of September, and then I smelt it, and I went, oh, well, it's sort of on the turn. It was a couple of days ago. And it already, it was already best after a couple of those days, sort of thing. Yeah. And then I just, put some in a glass and drank it a bit and went, yeah, it's on the turn, but it's not going to kill me. It's all right.
No, wait. Yeah, a little bit of sour milk won't kill you.
Wow, it's called yogurt.
Exactly, or sour cream.
Well, that's exactly right. So.
Did you notice if the milk was had the best before, or was it a use by date?
Oh, best before. Okay. I think you better keep explaining. I think you better keep going, explaining the differences.
So why do I mention best before or use by date? In the UK, supermarkets are removing the best before labels, especially on fresh food, and it's been replaced by no date helps reduce waste. Apples, bananas, potatoes, cucumbers, and broccoli are some of the most wasted fresh foods in both countries. And Australia produces over 7.6 million tonnes of food waste each year. That's about 300 kilos per person. Per person, 300
terrible,
kilos.
Yeah, it's
which
terrible.
is almost 5 kilos a week per person.
Yeah.
And that costs us.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we don't do that in this family. We have definitely done it. There's no doubt about it. I've seen it, but I'm such a vigilante about this sort of stuff now. And
we must be doing your part then. We're terrible. We have the best intentions.
No, we are. Yeah, no, I'm really a vigilante about it. I mean, growing up in the country, you just learn to ensure that if you're going to kill something, and you ensure that you use every part of that as much as you can. Yeah. Because that animal gave its life, give its life, but it's not with us anymore because you wanted to consume it. So it's. It's up to you to ensure that you do the right thing by it, sort of thing.
And I guess that goes same for fresh food as well, because it takes so much energy and.
If you're going to go out there and kill a tomato, and it's up to you to no.
The killer tomatoes, got to be careful with them.
No, but no, you're right though. I mean, the thing is that, and Ness has said this so many times, it's like all the energy and all the resources that have gone into growing all this food, and when it's wasted, the amount of energy and resources we are wasting is phenomenal.
And not just that, it's also because it gets wasted. Where does it go? It goes in the rubbish.
It creates more methane.
It goes into the tip.
Yeah.
And so very, very bad. So if we can minimize the waste, composting, or if you're not going to use it in time, or anything like that, just compost it. So this costs.
Sorry, apologize. Just getting back to that. We're talking used by all the rest of composting, blah blah. What bins do you have up there? Like
Up here,
yeah.
your usual
You've got the green
red
bin.
for so we get 3. Apartment living we don't, but we've got the red bin for general rubbish,
Yeah.
yellow for recycling,
Yeah.
green for green waste.
Yeah.
There's talk of some councils or some suburbs here in Brisbane where they're going to have a food waste bin as well.
Yeah.
So your fresh food, fruit and veg can get put in there. But I haven't heard much of that, so I don't know what parts of Brisbane that's coming to.
See, all our scrap food goes into the green bin. It either goes into the green bin or it goes into our compost.
Yeah,
It goes into one or the other.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. My understanding here is that the green is just for offcuts like grass, branches, etc. Not fresh fruit that's gone off.
Yeah, we can do it.
So it's different over there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah.
But anyway, this wastage that we do in Australia costs us $36.6 billion a year, and that's not just household.
Yeah.
That's primary production, manufacturing, distribution, hospitality. But the households produce over half of that waste, and we waste about $2,000 a year.
Yeah,
on food waste.
I know it's criminal. It is criminal. It's absolutely.
It is.
But you know what the worst part is, though? The worst part is that people that do like dumpster diving and all this sort of stuff. It's sort of frowned upon and looked upon. Excuse me, very negatively, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, seriously, at the end of the day, you're throwing it out.
Yeah.
Why
still
can't
usable.
I don't know why anyone can't just go in there and grab it. They're not gonna sue you if they hurt themselves. They're gonna take it upon themselves. It's their problem. They hate it. They made the decision. Exactly. But I just do find it a bit ridiculous that someone's waste is still their property, although because of the way they're going to dispose of it, it's actually our issue.
It's no different to hard rubbish day, and apparently it's illegal to collect things off those piles of hard rubbish. Which I find ridiculous because I know a lot of people who go around on hard rubbish periods and pick up all the stuff and they go reuse it. They'll fix
years
them up.
Years ago, that just used to happen.
Yeah, but now it's illegal here.
It's just I don't get stuff. It's like we want to do some stuff to our verge, because it's just grass, and we're like, well, why don't we, put a garden in there, or grow some stuff that would be actually good for the planet, rather than just some grass. And all the hoops that you have to jump through is phenomenal. It's
public liability. Blah, blah, you need insurance.
Yeah, that sort of shit. It's just we just take hence blurt on society. We are blurting on society.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just so many societal norms that are a little bit ridiculous. So
the other confusing part with fresh food is and the best before and use by dates is you've got some examples where fresh lettuce will not have a use by date or a best before, but if you buy the same lettuce that's pre-packaged in one of those plastic bags, guess what? It's got a date. So that causes a bit of confusion for some people, I think. But like you said, you and I grew up with not having those dates put on products, and you can tell. So maybe we do need to get rid of these labels and make people smarter again.
Yeah, look, I do agree with you. I wholly agree with you. But the other thing we need to do, and Woolworths is meant to be doing it, is getting rid of plastic bags by 2023, apparently, i.e. Plastic around fruit and all these sort of things. I don't know why you have to individually wrap a freaking apple or a bloody avocado, whatever the hell it is. Why are we doing
cucumber?
this?
Potatoes. Potatoes, the other bad one, where in the plastic bag when people buy it and then they put it in the cupboard, it shortens their life.
Oh, of course it is. You've got to take it out of that plastic bag and put it in a brown bag, and then put
paper
it
bag
in
or a Hessian
dark
bag,
space.
somewhere dark.
Yeah,
but not
exactly
plastic.
right.
It just ruins it.
No,
They get hot and sweaty.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Something
that is all right. Sorry, go for it.
I was just going to say. So my question to everyone out there is, do we need to buy packaged products? Does the packaging enhance shelf life? And would I buy less if it hasn't been packaged? So let's consider those things before we start buying all these extra foods that we end up wasting. So something to think about.
Yeah, no, really, really good call. Really good call. I mean, I know when we were in England a few years ago, we only had a bar fridge. It's the only fridge we had. So we could only put a certain amount of veggies in that fridge.
Yeah.
So therefore we did our shopping for veggies every 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, nice.
So,
means more time going shopping, but less wastage.
True, but we were walking, so it didn't matter.
Oh, perfect. Win-win.
Yeah, exercise, better for the environment, just goes on and on and on. But someone who does not go on, and we need to listen to.
Hey, this is Hannah Melville-Ray from the Australia Institute. I'm listening to the new Blurt with Wencee and the Kegsta, and you should be too. It's on Tuesday nights, live from around 8 p.m.
Boys, just one of my favorite songs.
Yes.
What do you got for this week?
I have NASA and asteroids.
Like you would have thought.
Like you mentioned earlier, my love of science and especially astronomy, anything space related, came across this little doozy. Do you remember Armageddon? Don't Look Up, the Doomsday asteroid.
I remember the Don't Look Up film. That was really good.
That was
is that what you
along
meant,
the track of what I'm about to talk about.
Ah.
So on the 26th of September, so it's just next week, NASA will deliberately crash a spacecraft into an asteroid. Why? Why not? It's the world's first attempt.
Hold on. What was that? What was that? Say that again.
NASA will deliberately crash a spacecraft into an asteroid. Why? Why not? What was that? Is that what that was?
That was.
There we go.
What was that?
Yeah. It's the world's first attempt to test how to deflect an asteroid to defend Earth against potential collisions. The mission is called DART, which stands for
not as dumb as it sounds.
No, it's for a good cause.
Yes.
DART is the name of the mission. It stands for Double Asteroid Redirection Test. Its target is Dimorphos, which is a small moonlet of a larger asteroid called Didymos or Didymos. I don't know how you pronounce that.
That's okay.
And it's a dual asteroid orbiting each other.
Yeah.
The target, Dimorphos, is only about 160 meters in diameter, and its bigger sibling is 780 meters in diameter. So DART will be traveling at about 6 k's per second.
Jesus, that's huge.
The bigger one is. The smaller one's probably about the size of, a little bit taller than the pyramids of Giza. And the 780 is taller than any of our big buildings we've got on this planet.
Yeah, that's 780 meters. I mean, the Eiffel Tower is 331 meters tall.
Yeah, so 2 of those.
Yeah, it's pretty bloody big.
Pretty big, isn't it?
Oh my
so
God.
Imagine one of those hurtling towards Earth and going, shit, what do we do? Well, that's what this experiment's all about, I guess.
Okay. And this is the first time they've ever done it?
Yes, deliberately.
Wow.
I'm sure there's been a few accidents in the past, but this one, this one will be deliberate. When it strikes the little asteroid, it'll be hitting it at 6 kilometers per second, and the impact is roughly going to happen around about 9:15 on Tuesday next week here in Australia. It's taken 10 months for the spacecraft to arrive, and the DART, not the DART, the DART
Right.
spacecraft, for those who remember the ads back in the day. What was it? Shannon's Insurance, I think it was.
Yes, yes, it was. It was the guy that used to do the Don. Don is good, isn't it? Same guy, wasn't it?
Yeah, is Don is good.
Is Don is good.
Forget the guy's name. I used to know his name.
Yeah, he was very well known.
Yeah, so the DART, the main spacecraft DART, has a little spacecraft following it called Likia Cube, which carries a lot of the instruments and cameras that'll be used to take measurements of the impact and photos and things like that. So come Tuesday morning, we'll have photos of the impact beaming back to us. Should we be worried about this impact and what it might do to the orbit of that little asteroid? Scientists say we shouldn't be worried. It's 11 million kilometers away from Earth when it gets hit. Bobby Braun, head of space exploration at the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab, said that this is humanity's first ever planetary defense test. Everything about this is a test. It's been done in a safe manner. There's 0% chance that this asteroid could come towards the Earth. So it's actually an ideal setup for our science team, for the engineering team, and for those of us around the world to learn and to make ourselves better through this mission. So during and after that impact next Tuesday, a fleet of telescopes around the planet will be focused on the asteroid and be taking measurements of its orbit and see what impact it had. Hopefully some impact, I guess, just to prove that we can make a difference to its orbit, and I guess might lead to other experiments down the track with explosives or bombs hitting nearby. It doesn't have to impact the asteroid, I'm thinking. In my mind, I'm thinking the explosion just needs to be close to the asteroid for it to knock it off its normal orbit. So who knows where this leads, but it'll be one of many that will be coming.
Do you think they would be able to sort of turn the coordinates to somewhere near Florida?
Somewhere around Mar-a-Lago.
Yes, it's funny. You read my mind. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Let's hope they can. Maybe little fragments. If you've seen Armageddon, that's sort of what happens with the fragments. So yes.
Well, hopefully, if it's over there, I'm getting out of here.
Boom, boom.
That's what he'll be doing. Well, actually, I hope he doesn't. I hope he stays there. That would be good.
A little bit delayed, but we got there.
Better late than never. We have to do everything. But yeah, look, that is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And as usual, we will have all of that and more in the show notes. So
exactly. Brilliant,
Wencee, as usual. Now, something that has absolutely nothing to do with the universe, because as Wencee knows, I do like science, but I'm not a universe nerd. And Wencee very much is. And one of these days, we're going to get someone from the Astronomical
Society of Victoria
on this show.
I do have some contacts there, so I just got to get off my ass and
yes, you do. But you did get off your ass this week, and we will talk about that later. So
we will.
So accolades to you at the moment. Anyway, I am talking about synthetic milk made without cows and maybe coming to supermarket shelves near you. Now, before you get too excited about this, and it actually is exciting, and one of the reasons is because if you're a vegan or vegetarian or anyone that has any ethical reasons that you don't like dairy in particular, this would be a good option. Because if you wanted to try to keep up your proteins, etc., through a dairy product as such, synthetic milk could be something that you might want to do. Now, I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be on the shelves, but we'll get through this. But I know it's not. I don't think it's like in the next year. They've obviously got a bit to do on this. But as we know, the global dairy industry is changing, and as we also know, cows, as a rule, are one of the biggest methane emitters in the world.
Yep.
So having a massive dairy industry, I was just talking to Ness about this morning. Having a massive dairy industry means that you need to have lots and lots of cows, and probably more cows than you really need as such.
Yeah. Again, comes back to that food waste. We waste a lot of milk as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the global dairy industry is changing. Among the disruptions is competition from food alternatives. Now, synthetic milk does not require cows or any other animals, but it's grown using an emerging biotechnology technique called precision fermentation. It produces a biomass from cultured cells. More than 80% of the world population regularly consume dairy products. There have been increasing calls to move beyond animal-based food systems, as we were just talking about, sustainable forms of food production, et cetera, et cetera. As I said, there's some big companies behind this as well. So the examine mega trends in the global dairy sector. Plant-based milks and potentially synthetic milks emerge as a key disruption. One thing I will say here is this is synthetic milk, but it's not like an oat milk, which isn't milk. It's not like a soy milk, which isn't milk. It's not like, all that shit. It's not milk. I'm sorry, but it's not. It's soy
But it looks like
juice.
milk, so we've got to deceive ourselves and call it milk.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you're still having your soy lattes, I'm assuming?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Still like it.
Yeah.
It just means I don't have to put sugar in because I don't know if it's naturally sweet, but soy has always been sweet.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with soy, they do a lot of extra sweetening in those soy milks.
Is that why?
Yes, but you can get unsweetened and you can get sweetened.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine a lot of the times you won't know what you're getting.
No.
So,
but quite often I don't need the sugar because I don't use sugar when I've got the soy. So I'm guessing most of the time it is sweetened.
Well, it well may be. But do you do soy just because you don't want the sugar, or do you do it from an ethical reason, or I know you've done it for a really long time? So
so many moons ago, I used to be or thought I was lactose intolerant.
Now you're just intolerant.
Yes, so I'm just an intolerant person. So I started drinking the soy and then got used to it. And then when I realized that I wasn't, or I got over the intolerance, if that's possible or a thing, I just stuck with it. So it's been probably 20 or more years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I've known you for a long time, and you were doing it before you met me, and you're still doing it now. So that's a very long time. But the interesting thing about that is, do you have coffee at home and you have soy milk in that as well? Is that what you do? Or?
No, at home it's just plain regular milk. So I only get the soy in cafes.
Right, I get it. I got it. Okay, cool. Interesting. But so unlike synthetic meat, as you know, that sort of word is not good for me. Synthetic meat.
Or meat, or both together.
Well, the first word much harder than the second word, which can struggle to match the complexity and texture of animal meat. Synthetic milk is touted as having the same taste, look, and feel as normal dairy milk. The interesting thing that I always find is when you are replacing a product for a synthetic product, i.e. a plant-based meat or a plant-based milk in this case, is that they always say that, They try to get it to taste as much or feel, or the look and feel as much as what the product was before. But what you got to work, you got to try to work out what market are they going for. Are they trying to get the people that are eating meat to stop doing that, and so that's what they're doing, or are they trying to get the people that already don't eat meat to have this product because it isn't meat?
Why not have a third market where you've just created a new product and you're just selling that product as its own product, not to replace something or to appease someone?
See, I think that's I think it's a great idea. Very good idea.
Yeah.
Very, very good idea. I'm voting for you next election. Perfect. Perfect Day company supplies animal-free protein made from microflora, which is then used to make ice cream, protein powder, and milk. In Australia, a startup company, this is the company I was talking about, I think they're in Werribee, Eden Brew, EDEN Brew, has been developing synthetic milk in Werribee in Victoria. The company is targeting consumers increasingly concerned about climate change, and in particular the contribution of methane from dairy cows, as we were just talking about before. Cyro reportedly developed the technology behind Eden Brew product, and the process starts with precision fermentation. Cyro says these proteins give milk many of its key properties and contribute to its creamy texture and frothing ability. Minerals, sugars, fats, flavors are added to the protein base to create the final product. The interesting thing about this product as well is that they were saying that if you think that because you are lactose intolerant and this is a synthetic food, that maybe this is something that maybe you could have.
Yeah.
They're saying that that could still be a problem.
Right.
Because
even though it doesn't have lactose in it?
No, it won't have lactose, but it will have something that's very similar that still may affect someone.
Right.
But although it's synthetic, it might have the same sort of synthetic cultures that sort of replicate itself like a lactose product or something. So
yeah, possibly.
Saying that they still might not be out of the woods on that one. So Orgy Foods company this month raised $25 million to accelerate production of its synthetic milk. Within 7 years, as we were talking about before, it's not going to be on the shelves just yet. The company wants its synthetic milk to be cheaper than cow's milk. So a 2019 report into the future of the dairy found that by 2030, the US precision fermentation industry will create at least 700,000 jobs. So, so that's a lot of jobs, obviously. So that's.
But that'll replace the jobs that farmers had.
Yes, it will, because obviously it will put farmers out of action. But to be honest, though, I mean, look, I grew up all around farms and sort of around lots of farmers and all the rest of it, and most of the farmers that I sort of grew up with, a lot of them inherited what they had. So none of them had to make their own way in this world. They just totally took on what their dad or their mum left them. So they had big bonuses to start with. Now, I'm not saying that they haven't had tough years to get through and all those sort of things. And I'm not saying that all farmers are like that either. But I am saying that it's a really, really, really old culture. And what we're learning in our life now in 2022 is not everything that's been around forever, say fossil fuels, is good for the environment. And we just have to suck it up, and we just have to live with it, and we just have to make better decisions. And I know that, farming's going to hurt a lot of people. I'm not saying that's not going to be the case, but we are going to have to change the way we live.
Yep, exactly. Synthetics worries me a bit in the sense that we don't know any harm it might give to humans as it goes through our systems, but got to try something.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I understand why you would have that thought, and it hasn't not crossed my mind either.
Yeah,
but again, I think of the other side as well, and I think of all the different synthetic things we already eat, which is, I mean, you think of a carrot, that's a synthetic carrot. Nearly every vegetable that we have is synthetic. They all came from a different original derivative of a vegetable, as you know, from heirloom type vegetables, which we call them heirloom now, but they were actually just original. Like, the carrot was purple.
Yeah, the OG of the
the OG was purple. Yeah, exactly right. But the Dutch thought, oh, let's turn it orange.
Mm.
And so therefore, when you go into the supermarket, they say, oh, Dutch carrots.
Yeah.
Like, no, they're just freaking carrots. It's just all bullshit. So, so there's obviously, some sort of, synthetic chemical changes or whatever has happened to make that a orange carrot. So, but I agree with you. There's so much of it, but synthetic milk is not a panacea. While the technology has huge potential for environmental and animal welfare gains, it comes with challenges and potential downsides. For example, alternative proteins do not necessarily challenge the corporatization or homogenization of the conventional industrial agriculture, aka this means big synthetic milk producers might push out low-tech or small-scale alternative dairy systems. So as synthetic milk gains ground in coming years, we must guard against replicating existing inequities in the current food system. So I'll put that link in the show notes, but it's a really good, it's a good little read. And I think it's really interesting because it's coming whether we like it or not. So it's good to actually know that it's coming and maybe keep our eye on the ball and see where it is in a year's time and see where they're going with it, especially since it's coming out of Werribee.
Yeah, nice.
So, yeah.
Which is near Mickleham.
Is it?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Maybe 10 Ks away, but it's the same side of the city.
I would be surprised if the median price in Werribee was 2.7 million. But,
I doubt it.
That's just, that's my elitism bullshit talking.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry for anyone that might listen to the show that lives in Werribee. Werribee's a great place. I love the Werribee Zoo. Absolutely love it. So,
I used to live around there, so I know what it's like.
Yes, he does. That's why he went to Queensland. Anyway.
Now it's time for When Nature Calls with Wencee and the Kegsta on the new... Oh there, big fella. That's the wrong nature calling. Oh, right. Here is our new segment, Nature Calls. It's all about the wonderful world. Sorry, Wencee.
Sorry, I spent a lot of time on that. Now, now I'm gonna this is a little show and tell, and you're 100%.
We love
correct.
show and tells.
Yes, we do. We need to crack on. You're 100% right. Check this out.
Oh.
Yeah,
They're
beautiful.
Australian, that one.
They are beautiful, though. They really are. I love kangaroos. When we're at Castlemaine, we used to see them quite often, and unfortunately, not always jumping across or next to the road, if you get what I mean. I've got to be honest though, I always wondered what the cars look like that the poor old things ended up on the side of the road from. Yeah, because these things they're big and they hit
muscly.
Hard. Oh yeah, you can see from that picture there, and I'll put that up again. But the reason I put that up is because this little segment is all about this little article is all about they will get you in a headlock. Australians warned off pet kangaroos after a second death in 100 years. What's your take on pet animals that are native to Australia? I'm not a big fan.
Not a fan. There's not many domesticated animals we should keep, and anything that's wild should stay wild.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Well said. Well said. Totally agree. New Blurt totally endorses that point of view by
Vote one Wentz next election.
Yes, absolutely. I'll be putting out the marketing material.
Awesome.
Behavioural ecologist says 77-year-old Western Australian owner was probably seen by the hand-reared animal as fellow marsupial. So what happened is this poor old 77-year-old guy, I'm pretty sure, got kicked to death. So, a 77-year-old Western Australian man was killed by his pet Western Grey. He hand-reared from a joey.
Amazing. It's still a wild animal.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. again, no argument at all. It's only the second death in 100 years caused by a kangaroo in Australia. The last was in 1936, when a 38-year-old New South Wales man, William Cruikshank, reportedly died from head injuries after trying to save his dogs from a kangaroo. I mean, you're right. I mean, these things are wild and they are super powerful. And why people think they can tame them, I'll never know. We shouldn't be trying to do that anyway, you know. Just let them live their lives and stop bloody killing them. That'd be nice.
Exactly.
Kangaroo Coles don't agree with that either. University of Melbourne behavioural ecologist Graham Coulson says this week's attack was an unexpected but unsurprising. Pet kangaroos are driven by the same instincts as their wild counterparts. At this age, when they're not feeding or resting, they fight. Associate Professor Coulson says. So almost as soon as they start hopping, they start play fighting. As they got older, it becomes more serious. Eastern grey that we know was killed in a fight, and they all have scars, scratches, and tears. It's quite full on when it happens. Yeah, I've seen it.
I've seen them, yeah.
That's really not mucking about. They've got a picture of the dude here, I think. Yeah, so this is a picture of the dude. Poor bugger. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure he was, he hand-read the thing from a Joey, and from all we know, he might have saved it because, the mum was killed on the side of the road or whatever the situation was. And I'm not having to go at him in any way, shape, or form. But I just don't agree with. I think he probably should have just let it grow up a bit and then give it to someone to all that sort of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, but in March, a 3-year-old girl was admitted to a hospital in New South Wales with a head, back, and arm injuries after kangaroo hopped on the home porch she was playing on in the northern Tablelands across the border. Would have been. Across the border in Queensland, nearly a month later, 69-year-old female golfer was knocked to the ground repeatedly, stopped by a kangaroo at Arundel Hills Country Club. Again, this is a great little article too. I mean, obviously, it's not nice to hear about people being killed and stuff, but it's just quite well written. It's it's good to know these things and to understand to let animals live where they should live. But the only thing I'll finish with that is I remember years ago when we used to play golf and we play competition golf early in the morning, like 8 o'clock or something in the country up in Gippsland. And I remember vividly you'd go out and you'd go to the second or first tee and there would be 2 big reds just hanging out at the back of the tee just before you were going to go to the tee. So I started walking to the tee because I wasn't that used to sort of kangaroos so much. I mean, I knew who they were, but I hadn't really been around them that close. Whereas people around there have seen them quite a lot, etc., and knew a bit about them. So I started walking towards the tee and said, "No, you don't want to walk that way." I said, "They're just kangaroos." He said, "Yeah, they look really placid now and chilling out, but we're going to walk over here and we're teeing off over here." So so it's quite interesting, and I was like, oh, "Wow!" But they were just looking at us,
Yep. Until they decide to pick a fight, and you'll be second best.
Correct. But at least I did have a bag of clubs. But I wouldn't want them to do that. I wouldn't want to do it. So,
self-defense only.
I'm done.
Anyway, moving on.
I'm done.
My article or story this week could have gone into the science segment, but I decided to keep it in Nature Calls. So it could have gone either way. So a recent report in the Science magazine, researchers have confirmed that humans do not have small bits of tissue above our vocal cords, which are called vocal membranes. We're the only primates without this piece of tissue. They studied 43 primates using MRI and CT scans, and they found that we're the only ones without that tissue. The vocal membrane acts like a reed in a clarinet, which makes it easier for primates to shout and shrill and have all these high-pitched vocalization
noises
that they make. So that loss of vocal membrane would have been a very major, very revolutionary event in human evolution, says Takeshi Nishimura, a primatologist at Kyoto University in Japan. All primates make sounds in a very similar way. They push out air from their lungs into the muscles in the larynx, which then vibrates and makes the sound waves. Research team studied videos of macaques, chimpanzees, and squirrel monkeys while they made their sounds. They also studied macaques and chimpanzees that had died of natural causes. And what they did with those cadavers was they mounted their larynges on tubes, like empty tubes, I'm guessing, and experimented pushing air through it. And they discovered that the sounds would fluctuate widely in pitch. So obviously they had that little membrane there.
So are they saying that this is like a fundamental difference between humans and sort of chimpanzees and the sort of the monkey family? Is that what they're trying to say? Is that what they're distinguished? They're trying to, right.
Yep. So in humans, because of that lack of that tissue, it allowed humans to create complex sounds using just their mouth and tongues. So
does that mean if somehow, some way they could breed a monkey without that membrane, the monkey could just start talking?
Maybe. Is it too late to get a doctorate in animal studies?
I don't know. But if that's what you're saying, though, if you're saying
that's
that,
what I'm reading.
I mean, if you're saying that membrane is one of the main and only distinguishing differences between the way that we can speak and they make their different vocalizations and noises, etc., that is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? So I thought that was quite interesting that, this is what nature's done.
Yeah.
So primates, apes, chimps, etc., do this sound because they've got that piece of tissue, whereas we don't, and we evolved to talk and create language and everything else. So I thought that was quite fascinating.
That is very, very fascinating. That is I'll tell you something else that is going to be a bit fascinating as well, and highly recommend you tuning in live for next week's The New Blurt, and it has something to do with my virtual background.
Your virtual
Take
background.
Take it away, Wencee.
Alrighty. So next week we can confirm that we will have a special guest by the name of Mark Pachidi, who is the founder of Dancing with the Black Dog. He and I worked together many years ago, and I remember this is back in Melbourne, and I remember he launched his website, which talked all about his struggle and journey through anxiety and depression. And he actually spoke about it with the company, with teammates, including myself, because even though he wasn't in my team, but he gathered all of it, especially men, and told us about his story and how he got through it. And he's created this foundation where, similar, I guess, to Are You OK, which we'll find out all about next week. So we're going to have him on the show and see how he went through his journey and what it brought to his life and how he got over it all. So here's our special guest, which we're looking forward to.
Fantastic, Wencee. Magnificent work. The other thing I was going to say, in this week's show, when we put it out to subscribers on the email, do you think maybe we can attach the blog of...
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that you can listen to it. You can
read it. This one's a read. So he, at the time when he did release it, he was releasing, I think, a chapter every week or two, whatever it was. I can't remember the exact time frame, but so he left you hanging every time. So it was, I guess, sort of like his diary. But hey, we'll find out more next week when we talk to the man himself. So.
Absolutely. So definitely tune in for that one. Yes, we'll be live and we'll be late, probably as usual.
Hopefully not next week, especially when we've got a guest waiting for us.
Yes,
so hopefully we'll get our shit together.
We need to be slightly more punctual. We don't want you to... we don't take you for granted at all. So as it says down there, blurtstar@gmail.com, the new blurt.substack.com if you need to get in touch with us at all. Until next week, thank you very much, Wencee. Absolute pleasure.
And thank you young man, and we'll catch you all next week.
We will indeed. Good night, people. See you then.
Hasta luego.
Later.
This one.